Will Sky Holland be too expensive, or is really what other agents are saying? CCR property selling at 2019 price. Now, in today's episode of Picking the Right Launch, we go to the heart of Holland Village to look at the latest new launch after the integrated One Holland Village, which in my opinion has been a great addition to the Holland Village scene. I mean, it used to be a giant car park for everyone to park their cars to go market and shop houses. Now it's literally 1,000 F&B restaurants. Mainly open air, pet friendly, kids friendly. I think it's slowly becoming a cool hangout place to chill and makan, but of course, sadly little to no retail offering. I mean, that seems to be the norm these days, like Woodlake Mall also. But who cares? I feel F&B is what drives the footfall these days anyway. And at the end of this episode, we will find out if Sky Holland is indeed expensive or it's really a 6 years ago price. Now, there's bound to be an undervalued price, an okay price, a walkaway price, or just a sell-out price. Well, this is something I will always say to my clients to work on different outcomes to determine the above. And before we continue, a little bit product placement here. Nicely, proudly sponsored by PropNext. I want to say this one thing. My next video will be my launch of the year, second half 2025. So unfortunately, it's not Skye. I'm very excited. I've been waiting for it for the longest time. It is finally launching. Disclaimer, whatever I share does not constitute financial advice. It is solely based on my opinion on what is right or wrong. So please do your own due diligence. If you're liking the content so far, please hit the like and subscribe button, as your simple gesture will help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you are interested to find out more about property related matters, please find all the social media handles I am on, or you can just directly reach out to me on WhatsApp. Separately, I have also set up a Telegram group at the start of the year so that we can have a discussion that we as agents are not allowed to do so online, which is to talk. So if you are interested to get into a community that talks about everything under the sun about property, please scan the QR code, or for the boomers out there, I have pasted the link in my description. We're going to close the group invitation in probably a month or 2 times, so head over and I will see you there. Now back to the video. Anyway, back to Sky Holland. When I received the information about Skye on a Friday evening alongside all the other information, I thought, wow, good. Then I can do a really good analysis on this project without guessing all the other variables except one thing, which is price. And of course, in the pricing section of our QPE framework, we will give ourselves a range of pricing to stress test the likely scenario. Now, some context about this plot of land: it is a consortium led by the big boys in property space, UOL, Singland, CapitaLand, and King Ryong. Now, they got the land at 1285 per square foot per plot ratio back in May 2024. Now, if you calculate the break-even price, it's about 2203 per square foot. Then you add another 8% more harmonized effect to be safe. The actual break-even should be about like 2379 per square foot. Then on top of that, you put a range of between 10 to 20% profit margin. You should land at a range of 2617 per square foot all the way to 2855 per square foot or higher. Now, the golden question is, what sort of profit margins are the developers aiming for? Because by using similar case study nearby, we take Nava Grove as an example. Their plot was purchased marginally lower than this at 1223 per square foot PPR with a break-even of like 2120 per square foot. Then again, you add about 8%, it's about 2289 per square foot. Now, the average selling price on day one was 2450 per square foot, which represents a profit margin of about a marginal 7%. Now, if I use the same sort of profit margin, it could mean that Sky Holland sells theirs at an average per square foot lower than 2617 per square foot, which to me is a sick price. But to be fair, it only shows you how cheap the developers got this land for. We can always come up with all sorts of calculation, but it also doesn't mean that there should be a standard formula to how much a developer makes. I personally feel that Nava Grove sold theirs at a lower profit margin was because of the fight against EOK, Emerald Kapong, Trumpa on that fateful November 2024 buffet. And probably they were also worried about the slow sales at Pine Tree Hill. Now that Sky Holland is going to be fighting it out on its own, I believe using a starting price of 2.7 per square foot all the way to an average of 2,900 per square foot might be a decent number to work with. Remember when I say up to an average of 2,900 per square foot, I don't mean the highest would be like 2,900 per square foot. It only means that you might even see a higher range of between 3,002 to 3,300 per square foot for the premium higher floor units by hitting like a median of 2,900 per square foot. Now later on under the layout segment, I will apply these 2,700 to 2,900 per square foot for us to get a rough estimate as to what to expect. And since this is just a guesstimation at this point of time, if it turns out lower, good. If it turns out higher, then you just improvise accordingly. Now, back to it. The plot is in the shape of a pistol. Too bad I don't have those kind of toy guns that my son usually play with. I can't show you how it looks like exactly, but anyway, let's not waste any more time on this and jump straight into it, shall we? QPE Framework. Now, first circle, quality. Point number 1, land size, facilities, and facade. Now, let's take a look at it. 2 buildings of 40-story, 666 units, 666. Sitting on 133,000 land size with 1:1 car park. Well, it's quite good, because in recent times, most plots that are near MRT usually comes with like 50-60% car park provision, 80% at most. Very long, I never see like 100% already. Some more, this one is so convenient and right beside MRT and a shopping mall, so this is quite good. But the setup is with a multi-story car park. But this is not those like at one corner like Temple's Sugana. This is like the entire development is on top of the multi-story car park. So it's not that bad. Now the unit size range from 2 bedrooms all the way to 5-bedroom premium units. For once, I want to talk about this. The maintenance fee is expected to be about between $390 to about $520 a month, with the 4-bedroom private lease one going for around $455. That is a pretty reasonable maintenance fee from a neighborhood like Holland Village, given most of the fees are like between $500 to around like $800-900 for the older developments. Now, drop-off area looks quite posh, with the exception of tennis court, which actually not much people are obsessed these days since pickleball is like the in thing now. It's basically almost full condo facilities. Now, the part of the land or pistol that is closer to where the gun barrel is sits the Sky clubhouse with all the function rooms. This one looks big. I mean, I don't know really that big or not, but you also have entertainment rooms, you have gym. The gym also look quite big, but no, actually I think it's visual effect. They're very smart because you can see the mirrors on both sides, kind of making it look much bigger than it is. Then the entrance sits right at the trigger handle of the gun, with the leisure pool or wellness pool right at the middle, separating the 2 buildings. Of course, even North Buona Vista Road is on the western side and is slightly the noisiest part of development. There's naturally going to be a bit of a setback between the roads and the building, with the 50-meter lap pool separating the 2. So that's about it. A plot of land that is slightly larger than that of River Green and Promenade Peak. No Sky terraces, unfortunately. Of course, they also have one like fitness garden where you have like the CrossFit 7-in-1 combo. Not bad. I feel like it kind of copy the Promenade Peak one a little bit. But actually, this one looks more like the outdoor area for the uncle and aunties you see in the park these days anyway. So all in all, when it's designed by ADDB Architects, you will kind of have like a benchmark in expectations of what to expect. Very good designs overall. I mean, the land isn't too incredibly big, but I think given the weird land shape, the developers kind of did their very best and you can't fault them for it. So for first point, our land size, facilities and facade under quality, pass. Point number 2, again, for the past few reviews, I have been combining both layout and price into one segment so that you can understand the context of whether it's okay or not. And I feel that for reasonable comparison, I can use One Holland Village. I cannot use Van Holland because although it's a freehold project, it's also a small plot. So it's not exactly apple-to-apple comparison. Now, a lot of the properties there are small in Holland Village. Want to use Liden 2? Also cannot, very small. You want to use Hill at Holland? Also cannot because they're one further up. Then up in the west, if I use Nava Grove and Pine Tree, also not fair because the locations are very different. Then showing their prices will also make Skye look cheap lah. Then like that how? Truth be told, our closest fight is up against our neighbour One Holland Village lah. The land is much bigger, but it also compromises of the commercial segment. So in theory, the residential component is like almost the same. Of course, those who follows our Telegram group or are in discussion session with me will know how in-depth I will place these price points to give you a lower limit strike price and a kind of like ceiling price for Skye in consideration of what I have just mentioned as per above. Pine Tree, Nava Grove, Hugh Holland, Van Holland, One North Eden, Leiden 2, all in. But the closest stress test would still be One Holland Village in this instance. And for fun, let's throw in River Green and Promenade Peak, shall we? Since both are in CCR and the price range here might give us an insight on, actually this makes Skye look cheap, or this one makes the River Valley one look cheap. Before I start, I would like to comment that this looks like a rinse and repeat sort of layout options. Now, if you look at it, 80% of it resembles that of Pine Tree Hill. It's not as exaggerated as how Springleaf resembles Lentor Mansion to the dot, but the design flow is like quite similar. So let's get straight into it. First unit type, the 581 square feet, 2-bed, 1 bath, dumbbell layout, open concept kitchen, pretty standard stuff, nothing much to analyze. And since this is the smaller unit type, I think for the smaller ones, we can safely put a range of between like 2,800 to 3,000 per square foot, which brings it to about $1.626 million to about $1.743 million. OHV 689 square feet, 2-bed, 1 bath went between like $1.62 million all the way up to the highs of $2 million. Now I know why some people say it's like buying into 2019 price lah. It's 2019 absolute price tag, not per square foot. So it's not wrong, but it's also a bit overly optimistic lah. In theory, you can't exactly separate the two. So if you were to start paying $1.8 million or up for a 2-bed, 1 bath, then it's not cheap lah. Then taking on Promenade Peak and River Green. Promenade Peak has no 2-bed, 1 bath. River Green 2-bed, 1 bath went from between $1.5 to $1.75 million. Now, you know why River Green so well, right? Now, being in a better location like River Valley and with an MRT at doorstep, it's about like 120k to 150k cheaper lah. So I think the Skye prices, or rather the range, looks very average for this instance. Nothing really to shout out lah. In fact, River Green looks like a better deal at this range. Next up, the 678 square feet, 2-bed, 2 bath. Once again, it's the usual setup. Kitchen looks smaller than usual with what looks like a larger than usual living and dining. Standard size bedrooms, not a corner unit, so got no ventilation whatsoever lah. 2,800 to 3,000 per square foot, $1.9 million to $2.03 million. OHB does theirs between $1.95 million to around $2.5 million. So for the 2-bed, 2 bath, I think it's a much better pick over the 2-bed, 1 bath lah. Now, Promenade Peak and River Green range was between $1.8 to $2.1 million and $1.65 to $2.1 million respectively. Now, if I catch the lower end of prices, then the River Valley duo still stands out for the 2-bedroom ones, and their layouts are equally as efficient as well. Now, in this scenario, based on what we are up against in Holland Village, Skye looks like a pretty decent pick at under $2 million, although I would still favor the River Valley ones if location is not a deal breaker. 2+ study next. 732 square feet, dumbbell layout again. Looks like a carbon copy of the 2-bed, 2 bath, except you get an additional study. But this study is like in the weirdest of position that will probably split opinions. Why? Because your study is closer to the window, so the panel that separates the master and the study kind of like obscures your view when you are like in the master bedroom. Now, unless you open up the study, then theoretically you're just getting a much larger 2-bedroom. Some people also like that since you can like take out the study, remove the partition, then you can shift the master bed, or rather king size bed, queen size bed, closer to where the window is and create the study close to where the wardrobe is. Or it also can give you the flexibility to create more wardrobe space too if need be. So I think like this setup kind of gives you different flexibility rather than having the study outside at one corner where you can't really improvise much. Some people are like this, some people hate this. For me, I'm absolutely fine with it. But the golden question is, are you fine with it? Because from a price perspective, I think the 2+ study, I can put a slightly lower number of like 2,700 or 2,900 per square foot, which means it could range between $1.98 million to like $2.12 million. This will make it look incredibly close to the 2-bed, 2 bath pricing if the per square foot here is slightly lower. Sure, the study is in a weird corner, great. If the price is very close to one another, then I'll just take the 2+ study anytime. And now over at OHV, there is no 2+ study, but given a larger one, trades between $2.1 million to $2.5 million, this makes anything around the range of $2 to $2.1 million very, very attractive for Skye. home. Now over at Promenade Peak and River Green, they went at like between $2.1 to $2.5 million and $1.95 to $2.37 million respectively. So all in all, you can slowly see that the 2+ study at Skye seems like the better choice given that the Promenade Peak 2+ study layout was all over the place. Now River Green is okay, but prices also like mostly higher lah. So 2+ study is looking good so far. Next up, the 3 compact unit 915 square feet. This one looks like the Pine Tree Hill 3-bedroom compact that my wife has gotten, except one of the bedrooms are not like kind of aligned with the other 2 bedrooms and the living room. Now this is what we call a conventional layout lah. All rooms at one side. Actually, come to think, this 915 square feet lah, where did all the space really goes to? Because the one at Springleaf 904 square feet 3+ flex allows you to get an almost similar layout but with an additional flexi room. This one no bomb shelter and no storeroom. I mean, y'all don't come tell me that the ST or DB box area, which is the small little store that houses the DB box, is a proper store lah, okay? It is not. Thankfully, toilet and whatever spots that is best to have some form of ventilation has it all lah. Nothing too out of the ordinary or fantastic either. So 2,700 to 2,900 per square foot, 2.47 to 2.65. Now OHV only has like the 3-bedroom premium units. It ranged between like $2.6 million all the way to about like $3.4 million, with the average at about $3.1 million. So Promenade Peak has no 3 compact. River Green 3 compact is a bit yucky for the smallest one, so I would like to use the 872 square feet as a better gauge that went between 2.5 all the way to $3 million. So our price range of 2.47 to 2.65 sounds about normal lah if you compare with River Green. But for the first time so far, I don't agree that the 3 compact at Skye is the 2019 price, because OHV 3 premium prices were quite attractive back then. So this one, just take note of the slight disadvantage. Now 3 premium next, 1076 square feet. Again, it's a portrait layout with a dry and wet kitchen setup. Tiny little yard that is like as if no yard. Rooms all queen, king, but without even getting into specification, it looks like yet another 9 square meters lah. I mean, why cannot put 10 square meters again leh? I tell you all lah, hot developers out there, if you are listening, free advice, if you throw in an additional 3 square meter, 1 square meter into each bedroom, including a master, let's say master now 2 lah, so 4 lah, so that it's all aligned, your property confirms sell 50% higher one. Okay, you don't believe me, you try lah, because 9 square meter is okay, but it's just very sian lah. Anyway, 2.7 to 2.9 per square foot, 2.9 to $3.12 million, OHV 3 bedrooms, same as previous law. They sold between 2.6 all the way to $3.4 million. Promenade Peak 3 premium did between 2.8 to $3.35 million. Now looking at it, and at this price range for Skye, I think the price looks okay, quite normal, because going down the road, you also have like Nava Grove selling their remaining high floor units at $2.9 million each, and Pine Tree Hill 3+ study at between $3 to $3.25 million. So this is really okay, nothing significant to shout out, but I strongly believe that this will be the one that sells like hotcakes, even though the prices are quite normal, right? Because you're comparing with the newer ones ma. Now when you start to compare with everything else, you will realize that there's hardly any 3 bedrooms under $3 million in this Holland Village area. So by that virtue, if you get one under $3 million and you are new beside the mall and MRT, then how not to eat? Because I think this will likely be the best seller and one that will have value in time to come. Next up, 1238 square feet, 4-bedroom compact with private lift. This is like the Pine Tree Hill 1292 square feet, 4-bedroom private lift, except this is like a portrait layout instead of a landscape lah. It also looks like the 1076 square feet 3-bedroom unit with just an additional bedroom and a private lift. Kitchen is slightly bigger too, but one extra brownie point is that you get a small store alongside the bomb shelter. Other than that, nothing too fanciful lor. And it's only for this unit type and larger do you get marble finishing, I think. Because we very long never see marble already. Usually it's only in the high-end developments right now. But even high-end developments these days, most developers do with porcelain tiles, matte finishing with larger slab to kind of offset the cost of putting in a marble lah. $3.34 million to 3.6. Now, OHV is a bit different. Their 4-bedroom is like 70% larger at 2088 square feet. So their price points were also much heavier at $6.5 million and upwards lah. So no fight here. Pine Tree Hill, I have to give it a mention. 4-bedroom landscape layout feels much better, but that's already also odd lah. Nava Grove leftover 4-bedroom compact is trading on par, but in my honest opinion, even though it doesn't have private lift, the layouts are much better and more efficient lah, because you got 10 square meter bedrooms. Now, Promenade Peak 4 bedrooms are only reserved for the Suites collection, mentioned, we saw it starting at like $4.5 million and upwards. Viva Green Shoebox 980 square feet, so I think it's not fair at all to even compare. And at this price of close to $3.5 million, I think the more well-to-do families wouldn't mind paying that premium for a property right at the heart of Holland Village, and also with all the convenience that comes with it. Although the layouts can really be done in a better manner for this 4-bedroom compact unit, I will still believe that the take-up rate for this will be fairly reasonable. Now next up, the 1464 square feet, which to be honest looks like a carbon copy of the Pine Tree Hill 1464 square feet also, except again you get additional store on top of the usual warm shelter. You also have what I feel is like UL trademark premium kitchen, where it's rectangular in shape with an island right in the middle. It's like quite common these days. Promenade Peak also have it, but UL like always have it nowadays. Junior ensuite size on paper should look much bigger, but I guess that's due to the excessive corridor space leading up the room itself lah. Otherwise, it's like a typical 9 square meter kind of setup lor. Master bedroom for its size is quite spacious with a walk-in wardrobe, and at the small little tiny corner, you got a window that should improve the entire ventilation of the unit itself, aside from making it even much brighter lah. I think the ones with deeper pockets will fancy this at a range of between like $3.95 million to about $4.25 million, 27 to 29 per square foot. Likewise, for the rest of the 4 bedrooms, as per what I mentioned in my previous 4-bedroom comparisons for smaller ones, all the competitions are much higher. So if somehow the prices reaches the lower end of $4 million, and because this is the best facing you can find in Skye, again, I think this is one very suitable for a slightly longer term hold. Although I realize this pattern these days, all the newer launches, especially in the core regions, the developer actually put a bit more premium for the larger unit. So let's wait and see on that lah. So you'll probably not see much sellers putting it on the market for rent or for sale in the future lah. So supply demand. Which brings me to the largest 5 bedrooms at Skye, the 1765 square feet. Same thing is like the 1464 square feet, except with steroids. Same sort of kitchen with the island. One small attention to detail, you get additional store in the private lift lobby area, which probably and almost certainly gonna be your shoe rack space lah. Then at the backyard area, you have a proper yard space with the store and bomb shelter combination. Interestingly, most atas 5 bedrooms will have a powder room, just not for this one somehow. Bedroom 3 and 4 comes with like a Jack and Jill. Bedroom 5 has like a half glass sort of window opening because of the AC latch position. Master looks huge. Junior looks to be slightly larger than usual. 6-meter frontage in the living room and dining space, typical terrace house width lah. Not bad. Of course, the best facing reserved for the largest unit for sure. Priced likely between $4.75 million to around maybe $5.12 million averagely. This one, I don't think I need to do much comparison because this one will sell on its own, and people who buy such unit probably won't care too much about what we YouTubers have to say lah. They'll just buy it if they like it lah. So who really cares about this? Well, if I care, then I still think that the Navago 5 bedroom still beats this hands down lah. But probably lacks like the convenience and accessibility of Sky Holland. Jialat, until now I still cannot get the Navago 5 bedroom out of my head, man. So all in all, the layouts and prices of Skye looks kind of okay. I've seen better layouts around, and I've seen far worse layouts also lah. Like the Artisan 8 layouts. For those of you who hasn't seen bad layouts in a long time, you might want to check that out. Okay, thanks, bye. Skye is probably in the middle, a very safe sort of setup, no risk involved, just nothing too exciting lor. Price points are not incredibly cheap either. It's also not going to be too expensive, just about right for a property in this part of Singapore lah. I will summarize at the end on what this price range entails too. Point number 3, location, MRT and amenities. Now, this is right beside OHV, and as the name suggests, Holland Village lah. I mean, come on lah, Holland Village in my time already is seen as an expat favorite neighborhood. Now, Holland Village with a car park gone and replaced with a mall is the ultimate chillax location. Near MRT, near Interiors, cold storage. I can't remember what's the supermarket at the Raffles Holland Village site. For those who drive, you drive east less than 10 minutes. On a normal day, you just reach Orchard lor. Then you drive, I think, southwards, and within a few minutes, you hit the One North and Buona Vista area. You go down east towards Clementi or NUS area, also easy. Basically, driving everywhere is easy, bro, without much jam. So what's more to not like about this location? If you don't drive, needless to say, this has also have everything lah. Just elaborating further will be just waste of time. Let's move on. Point number 4, views. This one, I can spend a bit more time to talk about this. The most premium facing that is facing towards the East Sussex Lane, is it? I think I pronounced it correctly. And the rest of Holland landed properties is nice, very nice. But like Springleaf and its forest facing, the Springleaf forest facing, you get one problem, and that is the afternoon sun. And the afternoon sun can be a toss of the coin for buyers looking for a property in the future. Now, my experience confuses me a little bit because I have quite a lot of nice facing units that can get stuck in the market for a long time due to the afternoon sun and how it kind of like eliminates plenty of demand by default. Like some older folks, I realize first criteria will always be got afternoon sun or got no afternoon sun. Got afternoon sun, then I see also want to see. So this is the only question mark in my opinion because on the eastern side, and if you're on the highest floor, that kind of clears the commercial component of OHV. You will also get a pretty unblocked city view beyond the entire Holland Village neighborhood. That can be a very nice facing too. Cannot underestimate. Then the more like kind of like conservative view on the pool, except the gap between the two blocks are pretty narrow. What I know is like somewhere around 30 meters, I might be wrong. So if you get those like mid-floor units, your line of sight might just be overlooking your neighbors every day. Alright, so other than that, I think the views are like not too bad. Pool view, try to go for a lower floor. I think the lower floor pool facing will be better. But really, the afternoon sun one is the only dilemma. So for first point of quality and pricing, I think the combination of the reputable developers and reputable architect really brings out the best of an odd-shaped Sky Holland. Now layouts are okay. Development facilities and facade looks pretty upmarket. 1:1 car park. It's a pretty good plus point. Of course, there isn't much grounds to run around, unfortunately, because it is what it is. Okay, moving on to circle number 2, exit strategy. Point number 1, supply demand. 1 Holland Village, Van Holland, and a bunch of very like old properties behind the shophouses. The supply here at the heart of Holland Village is currently underwhelming, especially for plots with respectable land size. Now, Skye will likely be the last GRS available, so there's probably going to be nothing much from here onwards. So do you think the supply-demand matrix here is going to be evident? Please decide for yourself. Point number 2, transformation. For a place like Holland Village, no transformation, don't need one either, nobody really cares. Point number 3, schools. It is very unlikely that we're going to be 1 km within Henry Park. In fact, we are also likely not 1 km to any schools at all, which some people will shoot it down. Of course, in Bukit Timah and Holland, it can be a deal breaker since the areas are notorious for being a school zone, but Holland Village has never been popular for school. Now, this small little cluster, 1 Holland Village, is popular for its convenience as like cultural heritage, a bit like Serangoon Gardens. So with the absence of schools, will it be a problem? I personally don't think so. Why? Because I believe there's still going to be a lot of parents looking at this as they are like probably alumni of the popular schools like Fairfield Methodist, Henry Park and Nanyang. Since alumni usually are guaranteed a slot for residences under 2 km, then this is okay. And the convenience will kind of like push parents to not to be too focused on the proximity towards school. Hence, no school, not worried about this also. Now, point number 4, target audiences. This is the main talking point. Are we going to get our typical HDB upgraders? I don't really think so. I mean, we'll still get them, but I believe they'll likely come from the like more established neighborhoods like Bidadari, Clementi, or Queenstown, where the HDB prices are sky high. So the type of HDB upgraders might be a little bit different. Then, of course, we also attract condo upgraders also, needless to say. And at a neighborhood like Sky Holland, I also do expect the very rich, high net worth people coming from the Holland and GCB clusters to consider buying one for keeps, either for their kids or for themselves in time to come. And given the setup of the entire Holland Village vicinity and with the lights of 1 Holland Village, the mall, I will expect quite a fair bit of dings looking into this neighborhood. Now, those with pets will really enjoy the malls because it's one of the biggest pet-friendly malls I know in Singapore. And given you have the River Valley area also being popular with dings, this neighborhood offers a different vibe to it. Just a little bit more homely, I feel. All in all, the exit strategy for Holland Village properties are still very evident. Expats still love the area. Locals also deem Holland Village as a very upmarket neighborhood with plenty of convenience. It's also the part of CCL that a lot of locals will want to live in. It has always been only an issue about affordability that prevents them from coming over to live in this neighborhood. Which brings me to the conclusion. Will Sky Holland be too expensive? The answer is yes, it will be expensive if like the River Valley properties, you want to whack the higher floors for own use. That's not gonna be cheap lah. Mind you, this is a 40-story skyscraper lah. The developers are definitely gonna nail the hell the height difference and put premiums on the mid to high floor units ma. I expect like every single unit type price difference to be like anywhere between 3 to 500k from the lowest floor all the way to the highest floor lah. So whether is it too expensive or not, you just decide the purpose of such purchase lor. Now, can I get a better pure investment elsewhere? Of course you can. In fact, my next video will be my launch of second half 2025. But like what my previous video covering the CCR properties, this property, which is Skye, is for people who again has preferences for what they buy. Of course, everyone knows the liquid and money is in the outskirts. What do you mean what? You expect everyone to crowd in the outskirts and leave the core region to be deserted lah? I mean, that's not how it works ma. Because if property investing and purchase is that simple, then who say lah? I also can confirm there's going to be many buyers here living in the GCB area or the landed property clusters that are one of the most expensive in Singapore, waiting for this plot of land for the longest time. Like very similar to that of Upper House. Confirm sure have one. This group of people only wants to buy Holland Village. Overpay for top floor, also okay. Because they're happy can already lah. They can't care less or what other people say what. Let alone me or whichever YouTubers think is right or wrong. But that how? No how lah. That's how it is. Because don't go bother telling them to go buy what? Pongo on Tampines for better returns, resale, whatever it is. They don't give a Also, is the price really 2019 prices? In theory, it's not wrong, but it's not entirely true either. To me, it's like a bit 夸张, exaggerated in English. Yes, the entry levels are very similar to OHV back during its initial launch due to mainly the size differences, but all in all, it's a bit gimmicky lah. But most importantly, will buying Sky Holland make you a lot of money? Well, it depends on what price they choose to launch at lah. And if it's the range that we have listed in this video, and again, it's a 40-story skyscraper, you can really consider getting the lower floor units for pure investment and watch the magic happen. If the price is even lower than 2,700 per square foot starting from, then that's a different story altogether. If you start to pay like 3,000 per square foot and upwards, then you really need a pretty big market push to get you the desired returns that you might be looking out for. Because along the way, Sky Holland also can be a place you can call home for its strength, and also a place you can store your wealth while doing just that. People who move in to stay will find it hard to find something similar to what they're getting at Skye lah. So sometimes happiness can come in the form of making money. Happiness can come in the form of buying a dream house or home in a dream location that makes you want to work even harder than before, or it can even come in both lah. I mean, everyone sure wants both, but let's be realistic. The most important question for you, not anyone else, not me, is what makes you happy?